Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority. Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb's also an author. Barb is a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have got to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday, and if you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or you can look for it on all of the major podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. So, Barb, what's in store for today?
Well, Richard, the first topic is really about how to get the home ready before you go on the market. We get a lot of questions about that. And of course, this is a very customized, tailored consultation according to the home seller's strategy on how they want to sell, what their goals are, and how they're going to present the home. Like, as an example, some people move out first and sell it that way. Some people sell it while they live in it, and some people sell it completely as is, which means that we have a lot more editing on the photo front to get that looking good, to get people in the door. So we're going to talk about that. And then the next topic is something that, I get to work with a lot of clients that are looking to downsize, maybe move out of state, or they're just looking for a home that requires less care, less updating, as well as not as big. So we're going to talk about the top mistakes that people make when downsizing, and of course, how to avoid them. And then the third topic is, how should you prepare for a home showing? So for everybody, it's kind of different. For some people, it's pretty easy. And basically the house is, we've already helped them get show ready, and it's no big deal. But for others, it could be a problem, especially if they have to go grab, animals or something like that out of the house. But we can really limit the times of showing to make it work for you as well. So there are ways to make it less painful. And also what you should know about some of the things that the agents do during showings. As an example, just the other day, I had an agent go into one of my listings and for some reason opened the fireplace door. It was electric fireplace, and somehow leaned on it, and all of the parts of the fireplace fell out. I'm like, what are you doing? It's an inspection. It's not an inspection. It's a showing. So anyway, you never know what you're going to expect. So a lot of times I'm having to go back and talk to the seller about crazy stuff that happens during showings. And then the last topic is about the 5 mistakes that can cause a house not to sell. And you want to stay tuned for that, because that's really important, especially in today's market that's a little softer than we're expecting to see in the springtime. And as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
So, Barb, in this market, the interest rates are staying about the same. And even though it's prime selling season, people don't sell homes that often. What are the 10 top things that every home seller wants to know before they list their Colorado home?
Well, I would say number one, and one of the biggest mistakes, is not really having a plan. Now, most people do have a plan. And I would say the biggest fear for a lot of folks is it's going to sell too fast. And then we've got a problem because they don't have a destination. So we've got lots of solutions for all that kind of stuff. But we're going to walk through just basically, how do you get a strategy? What is your selling strategy? What do I mean by that? Are you selling as is? Are you going to do fix up repairs or not? Are you going to show the home empty? Are you going to move out first or not? So we have different things that we're going to talk about. The first one is, you want to know, most people want to know what their home is worth. So I can give you a really good range and a pretty accurate number, but I will tell you that if you price at that number, it may not work. You really want to motivate the buyers to want to come see their home and make their best offer. So you really don't want to do what I call pricing or wishful thinking on pricing. A lot of people tend to do that, and it usually ends in failure. In other words, if you price too high and then gradually walk the price down because you're not getting a good response from the market, according to national studies, you're going to net less money. So that's a mistake, overpricing, number one. And the right price generally gets the most offers and the most money. Also, what you will net in your pocket, you want to know a good number for that. We'll sit down, we'll go over all the closing costs, what you can expect to pay or not pay. It's funny, more and more I'm getting questions from buyer agents going, well, how much fee are you going to pay me? And I always tell them, it depends on your offer. But there are some sellers that don't want to pay very much, and it's up to them, and they can get the rest of their fee from their buyer. So what we offer basically is a free service to help you with the strategy, give you an idea of what it will sell for and how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells. Also, get a lot of questions about repairs. So not all repairs necessarily need to be done. However, if you're going to let the work be what I call deferred maintenance, then you can't expect full market value. I mean, is that common sense, Richard, or am I talking inside baseball here?
No, no, no. You are talking absolute common sense.
Yeah, I mean, people think, well, my neighbor's house sold for this much, so can't I just give them a credit for my stained carpet, or my broken formica or stuff like that? And if we get them in the door, which is hard these days with the quality of the imagery, and the buyers can see it, they vote with their feet. So your first showing is not in the house, it's online. And if they don't like what they see, they're not going to come. So if it obviously looks like it needs updating, new carpet, something like that, or there is obvious deferred maintenance, some buyers won't even come by because they may not have the resources to do it. And then I get a lot of questions about, will I get, if I put in a tankless water heater, or they'll say, I spent $10,000 on that tankless water heater. Richard, do you think that it would matter to a buyer?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think you've talked before about over improving before a sale and how you're not going to get all that much back for some of the things that you spend a lot of money for. So I would say no, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's kind of a ooh-ah thing. I mean, the buyers are like, oh, that's nice, but they won't go up in price for those kind of things. It's the same as solar. I'm sure a lot of people would argue with me about solar. Solar does have some benefits in that it can reduce your electric bills, but are the buyers going to pay more for it? I just haven't been able to prove that with data. And I've asked appraisers this question too. I'll say, hey, do you think it's worth more with solar? And they're like, unless you can find me a very similar sale that sold for solar more than the other ones, then you have proof. So that's the way they look at things. The other question is, how long will it take to sell? I mean, right now we're sitting on a good 5 months, probably 4 to 5 months for the average home to get a contract. And what that actually tells me, because I actively do sell in this market, is that they didn't price it right. And I look at comps many times a week, and I'll see, oh, look, it's had more than 100 days on market. What was the problem? Oh, they priced it up here, and then they slowly walked the price down until they finally got a buyer. That is not the best recipe for getting the most money. You're always better going the opposite way, pricing what I call realistically. Other things, once you accept a contract, in general, it's 30 days contract to closing, but that's kind of up to the seller and the buyer. Like I have one right now, I have two right now that really don't, they want more than a month to move. And as long as the buyer knows that going in, it's fine. But I have seen lenders able to close now within just a couple of weeks. So if you have an empty house, that's really cool. But in general, if you're selling now, it must be priced what I call very realistically versus optimistically. Otherwise, the market's going to speak back right away. Now, most agents kind of do the same thing. They look at similar sales, they post it on the MLS, hope somebody else has a buyer. And in my view, that sort of commoditizes a home. So we go a lot further with our marketing. We want to give the buyers information about the benefit of living there. And we market directly to buyers. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we're talking about the top things that sellers should know before they put their house on the market. And next up, we'll be covering some of those, including negotiations. Richard?
We're here talking with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and you can always reach Barb at 719-301-3900 or contact her at barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb, we're talking about the top 10 things that sellers want to know before they list their house for sale. So how do home sellers get their home sale to the finish line?
Well, it starts with the initial launch. You know, you're going to get most of the eyes on a home in the first 7 to 10 days you go on the market. That's why that initial launch, that what we call now the grand opening, is so critical. You got to be the best home on the block. Now, does that mean remodel? No, not necessarily. If you're not going to remodel, it means the best price home. So not all homes are beautiful. Not all homes are perfectly show ready. And that's what we help people do. And as far as negotiations, we're seeing a big variety. Buyers are asking for the sellers to pay their loan closing cost. The buyers are asking for the seller to pay their agent's commission. Sometimes they're asking for your personal stuff. Oh, you're going to include in the washer, the dryer, and fries with that too. So you have to be very clear before you go on the market what you are going to include and what you're not going to include, because those surprises at closing are not fun either. Inspections, though, are usually the biggest landmine that you really have to overcome. And sometimes deals can fall apart, not necessarily over what was wrong with the house, but it's just the perception. Like I had one that I sold recently that when it was originally built, something wasn't right with the foundation. They had to re-support it. We couldn't really find the record on it. The neighbor knew about it, and you could see these supports in the structure. And my client was so detailed. He measured everything and put a level on everything before he bought it. So there were no structural problems. But Joe Billy Bob inspector with no license comes in there and sees those supports and goes, oh, well, that's got structural problems. You should have a structural engineer look at it. So the seller spent the money on that, didn't find anything wrong. So there's just a lot of crazy stuff that happens. So we highly recommend that our clients do a pre-inspection, get prepared for this, because in the state of Colorado, there is no license to be an inspector. I could be an inspector, and believe me, there's nothing handy about me. So it really, there's no qualification to do the job. I was just in an argument this morning with an agent going, well, how come my inspector can't do the sewer scope? And I'm like, because your inspector isn't licensed, and because I've had inspectors drop stuff down sewer lines, use a fisheye lens and go out and get fake bids in order to try and influence the seller to get more money out of them. I've seen crazy town in my world. So I'm very protective about it, and I try to put rules around it, even though it's sort of the Wild West. So if you are thinking of making a move, we are experts in this. Give us a call at 719-301-3900, and we'll sit down and give you a free consultation on how to get your house ready for sale, what it would sell for right now in this market, give you a really good idea what you'll put in your pocket and what to do to get your home on the market. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker. She's the host of Your Real Estate Voice and the owner-broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can always reach Barb at 719-301-3900. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about downsizing mistakes, what the top ones are, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Barb has that when we come back.